I'd like to welcome all of you here. I know that Jeff is on his way in the door. We have Mark Whitmore and Sally Whistler on the phone. I'm Donna Crawford, so I want to welcome you again to Cornell Cooperative Extension. And we're going to go around the table and introduce ourselves. We have two guests with us today. Mark, I didn't know if there was a policy on guests attending. But they'll tell you why they're interested in being here. Again, my name is Donna Crawford, and we also have another guest. We have George here. George, let's start with you.
George Profis. I'm a forester with the New York State DEC out of New Paltz. And I do the urban forestry program and work with basically municipalities down from Westchester up to Elster.
Jim Hansen, Woodstock Environmental Commission's bug guy.
Hi, I'm Kathleen Nord. I'm a homeowner in the Marbletown area. I received the mailing that's referred to in the agenda today. I have 7.5 acres on Spillway Road close to the reservoir. That does have signs of infestation, and I'm also a member of the Marbletown Biodiversity Assessment Team that dates back to 2006.
Stuart Greenfield here, Marbletown also, homeowner, 84 acres, mostly in woods, good number of ash trees. And also biodiversity assessment of, the two of us and a few other people did about, I'd say 7,700 acres out of the township. We're working right now on completing the map, biodiversity map. And been on the Environmental Conservation Commission, although that's a former position of mine. And also have given presentations, one of which has been on invasive species.
I am Mary Ann Wrolsen. I'm behind the camera so you can't see me, but I'm with the Saugerties Conservation Advisory Commission, and I'm filming this for Lighthouse TV 23, where you'll be able to see it on YouTube or on Facebook.
Eric Richards, certified arborist and just about to be certified master naturalist through Cornell, and I also work for Limber Tree Services.
I'm Jeff Wiegert. I'm regional forester for New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, Division of Lands and Forests, just off of a late night public meeting last night in Putnam County. So it's a pleasure to be here tonight or today, and we've been heavily involved with not only locating the emerald ash borer after the initial find in a private campground in Saugerties in 2010, but also trying to slow the natural spread of the insect through active management, and we can get into more of that. So.
And on the phone we have Sally.
Oh, yeah, this is Sally Whistler at Cornell.
And Mark Whitmore here at Cornell as well.
And Aaron Bennett is not here today. His wife went into labor.
Oh.
And he's at the hospital with her helping out. I know. So we'll plod on, as it were. With introductions done, we're going to go to updates with current projects. Jim, do you have an update from Woodstock?
Yes, I do. We had our Watch Your Ash seminar. We had a relatively good turnout. We had a little glitch in the last minute press release that didn't get out, so it may have affected our attendance a little bit. George came from DEC. Eric was there with the beautiful big purple thing. Vern Rist was there to talk about inoculation, and there was someone from CRISP who also joined us, and some other people. So we had an informational session by the gazebo near the big ash tree that we've saved, and then we did the ash count. I divided it into 4 sections.
One of them was sort of a backup session because most of it was done by Chris when they did the street survey, and that's along Cuomo Drive. But there were 3 sections of trails. 2 of them got done that morning. I've done the other one since. We found a total of, well, the exact total I haven't counted, but around 130 ash trees that are close enough to public areas that they need to be watched, to the trails or the soccer fields or things like that, varying in size. The next step that the Environmental Commission now will review, there's one section of trees in between the Longyear Meadow and the soccer field that has quite a few ash trees in it. It's a hedgerow with a lot of ash trees. Of those, there are 4 of them that are in the 12 to 15 inch range, and quite nice trees. 4 others in the 16 to 30 inch range, and then there's one 20 inch tree down at the Historical Society. What we would like to do is have Vern Risk come out and evaluate them in terms of, are there any that we should recommend to the town board to save? Because as you know, that's one of the points in the preparedness plan that was adopted, is that they would save, I'm not sure the exact reading of it, but it says treatment of carefully selected ash trees whose continued existence is deemed of high public interest. So we're going to evaluate them in terms of that and see if we're going to recommend to the town board that any of those trees be inoculated. So that's where we are on that. We're finding very interestingly that even though the heavily infested trees are generally show a lot of woodpeckering, we have been finding some trees that with minimal woodpeckering that are heavily infested. Whether there just aren't enough birds or what it is, I'm not sure. So it's, we really have to look carefully at what's happening with the leafing out in making the decision about saving the trees, whether it's too late, whether it's, whatever. So evaluating the damage is going to be an important part of that as well. So that's where we are.
Thank you. It says here press release. I'm not sure what that means on the agenda.
I'm not sure either.
Okay. And you saw the giant purple prism trap.
Yes, looked very nice.
And Eric?
It looked pretty good. I actually turned it into Molly yesterday.
Oh,
So
nice.
she does have it now. She's going to use it as an eye catcher for, and when Chris goes to events.
Uh-huh.
So it'll be out there. There's a big purple.
Prism trap. Good. Thank you. Number 3 is the agenda for, events for upcoming and previously held trainings. Did everybody get a copy of the update that I got from folks? Where Molly talks about their 2 ash management homeowner workshops, and I don't know, I don't think I'll read it. I have it here for you all to look at.
I went to the one in Stone Ridge.
Did you?
It's funny, the one in Stone Ridge, 3 people from Woodstock showed up.
Wow.
No. and one person from Tensionville. So it was.
How many people were there? Because I was involved in trying to offer Molly, in fact, I told her about the Marbletown Community Center to use as a possible thing, and Bluestone Press to put some advertising. How many people actually showed?
I think there were 4 guests, a couple from Woodstock, so that was 4 guests, 2 from Woodstock, 1 from West Hurley, and 1 from Sampsonville.
And that was it?
That was it.
I don't know. personally don't understand it because I also let the ECC head know about it. And,
Yeah, part of it I think was the timing of it. 1 o'clock on a Friday is sort of
Yeah.
inconvenient for a public meeting. So the trouble was they couldn't get the space any other time.
yeah, it's pretty active.
So that's what they had to go with, and that's unfortunately.
I gave her another thing that she could have looked at, which probably would have been available. I don't know if you know Manager Green.
Yeah.
Yeah, she has her particular thing, Sustainable Living Resource Center, and it's usually available.
Or the Rosen Rec Center maybe, that one might work as well next
Right,
time.
that also.
The other thing is that the town didn't know really about it. I stopped in there by accident on the way because I was just passing by, and I asked them where it was and that, and so there wasn't there was a disconnect in there.
We got a couple of calls here, folks looking for it also.
Yeah, there probably was, because I also gave Molly, this was all in an email, Kathy Davis, who was the town clerk, to, contact
Yeah, she did.
possibly.
Yeah, and she didn't seem to know anything about it. So there was a little...
That's people for
There's
you.
a bit of disconnect, yeah.
We had one in Saugerties, when was it, Jim? About a year ago? And nobody showed up.
Right.
Yeah?
So 3 is a record.
Getting the word out seems to be the big
The one that
challenge.
Chris did in Woodstock, there were a few more people than that. Some of them were people connected, there were 4 people from Chris, and Vern was there, and I was there. So the total number of people attending, I think, was maybe 6.
What time?
Maybe more or less. It was also on a Friday afternoon at the Xena Firehouse. The presentation thought was very nice, the PowerPoint that Chris has put together. And it was the first time they had run it, was with us, and they did a good job with it, I thought. So the one in Stone Ridge was only the second time they've run that PowerPoint presentation. But it is a nice presentation, has a lot of information.
So a suggestion might be that you have the community college nearby to run it through something and run it at the community college, and then have it as a wider thing. Have the EAB in there, but have more invasive stuff kind of in general, so you get a wider range of interest, including the students and stuff at the same time. I just found that works usually better.
Good idea.
George, you have some upcoming events?
Yeah, so we
You want to talk about them?
Sure, thank you. We have 2 things. We have a pruning workshop on Broadway in Kingston. It's on Saturday, June 8th from 9:30 to 1:30.
What workshop?
It's a small tree pruning workshop. The idea is to prune trees that are like less than 10 years old, or up to about 15, depending on how they're growing, and then to get good structure and eliminate storm problems and that, or reduce them quite a bit in the future.
Where
So-
is this going to be?
This is at the Everett Hodge Community Center, which is on Franklin Street, just off Broadway. I believe it's the Sunoco station's right there on the right when you're heading east. I think it's a Sunoco station. Anyway, but we'll be doing the work on Broadway, and hopefully that'll be the beginning of maybe doing all of Broadway. Getting people interested and stuff. Because the trees there really do need a lot of help.
Did you see the one someone pruned down on the roundup?
They talked about that originally when I first brought this up.
Someone had to. I'm sure it's awful.
Oh, just recently?
It was last year.
Last year, okay. Yeah, no, I drove by there like 2 months ago and I could see where it could use it, yeah. Okay, I guess there was a gentleman that was working on that was basically dedicating a lot of time to it. He no longer does. So.
Trimming one tree.
What?
Trimming one tree or what?
No, trimming the whole
Oh, I
segment
see.
down the hill there. The whole.
He shouldn't be doing that anymore.
I think he was a different person. I think he hasn't done it in a while. I think he was doing good from what I've heard. And, the other workshop is a Thursday, June 20th, from 2 o'clock till 8 o'clock. And it is a sidewalk tree root conflicts and solution conference. The idea is that Kingston has a lot of sidewalk problems, and when a homeowner gets a notice that they should fix their sidewalk, then they usually come and then they ask to remove the tree. And then they remove the tree, and there's a violation. It's a circular problem, so what we're trying to do is to get rid of it at the base by having a workshop on how to fix the sidewalks without killing the trees, and how to install the trees so that 20 or 30 years later, there won't be a sidewalk problem. So, and we're doing that through cooperative extension, and the registration is through cooperative extension and through Kristen Wilson.
It's going to be here?
It's going to be held at the Kingston City Hall. And then we're going to, the original presentations are going to be by two different groups, Davey Resource Group, and he's also the president of the New York State Urban Forestry Council, Andy Hillman, and then Deep Root Green Infrastructure, Albert Keyes. They have two different methods of ways of doing it. Sometimes they've argued over them and stuff, but that's a great way because they each have different methods, and it's good.
What time is it going to be?
It's at 2 o'clock at the Kingston City Hall. And after that, maybe around 4 o'clock or so, we're going to walk down Broadway, about 2.5 blocks, and have a hands-on demonstration at the Buderhof at 88 West Chester Street. And there's actually going to be a sidewalk replacement going on, and everybody's right there to see it. And that's Bluestone, but we're also going to talk about cement sidewalks.
Okay.
And after that, there is a free barbecue from the Buderhof.
Food's good from the Bruderhof. Thank you, George.
What time does the free stuff?
Well, it'll be done by 8, so the free stuff probably will be around 6. And there's one more workshop, though, I want to mention. On June 21st, on Friday, I believe it's going to be at 2 o'clock. It is at State Parks.
What's your contact number so we can straighten this out later on?
Mine is 845-256-3082, and Kristen is the 340-3990. Kristen Wilson at the Cooperative Extension.
256?
3082.
I should suggest my favorite root tree on Main Street. You know, the one maple tree on Main Street. I will suggest it that day if I go. It's the coolest. You'll appreciate it.
Okay, great. So there is a workshop. It's in State Park. It's in the State Park. So
Where?
it's south of Rhinebeck.
Oh.
Stafford?
Statsburg, thank you. At the Statsburg, State Park offices, and I'm saying it's around 2 o'clock to probably 2 to 6, and it will be a discussion of green infrastructure, trees and plantings, well, including everything, including sidewalks and stuff, and that by Nina Bassick and Peter Trowbridge. Nina Bassick is the head of the Urban Forestry section in Cornell, and her husband, Peter Townsend, is a landscape architect that's worked with Bluestone and a lot of other things. So that kind of fits together.
Thanks, George. As far as organization and agency updates, from Aaron, you have the update, which Aaron says there's no update from Aaron regarding the EAB action plan. And they did remove 11 infested ash trees at Sojourner Truth Park. So that's the update from Aaron, and that he's in labor with his wife. CCE's updates, let me just give the one from Ulster County, which is the Master Gardeners are involved in the early detector training, and we completed half of it with help from Jim Hansen, and we'll be running another section for the Master Gardeners because we do get a lot of calls from folks about the emerald ash borer, so it's kind of important that they have the information that's out there. We're also going to be doing some invasive work with Chris down the road a little bit, so the Master Gardeners will be involved with that. Mark and Sally, do you have anything to offer from CCE? You there?
maybe I just mentioned it, so there was a statewide call of the different task forces, and Aaron was on it, and I don't know what he would have, commented about it, but a few things that were remarked on were the new infestation in Delaware and Otsego County, and Mark can say more about that if you want to. And then I've been doing a review of activities across the task forces and starting to see really strong interagency diverse partnerships as a resource that the different task forces are drawing on. It's like, you're doing there in Ulster. And that's kind of starting to see a division of task force activities into first detection, education to the public, and then municipal technical support and education. So those are a few things. Mark, I don't know what else you mentioned.
Well, I think you're all probably interested in what's going on in Delaware and Otsego County. And basically, the infestation was reported by a homeowner, which is really good. Outreach does work. Unfortunately, he reported it and did not get a response. So finally, somebody did get there. It was actually a logger who went to look at removing the dead trees on the homeowner's property, and he immediately alerted Ag and Markets. And so I went out there, and the infestation is centered basically on the town of, on the village of Usdilla, and I found infestations about a mile to the north, and the location where it was first reported is about 2 miles to the south. We looked around, I traveled around with Ag and Markets people as well, and it's basically very spotty, the area. The populations are building. It's not anywhere near the size of the infestation in Ulster County, but it's there, and it's moving. So the other news I have, actually, I went out to Chicago earlier this week, and I went to a town of
Mark, who was that report in Unadilla reported to and there was no action?
You know, I can't recall. I would have to contact my Ethan Angel would know. I don't recall. You know, it sort of went in one ear and out the other because I was looking for both.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's the first time that industry actually reported or, was involved in an initial detection in a new county, and it turned out to be positive.
Yeah, it was a really good call. Actually, the infestation in Buffalo was detected by harvest.
Right, I'm talking about forest products.
But yeah, it's really, outreach does work, basically.
Good.
Jeff, do you have a report?
Yeah, I'll start out, and then maybe George can talk about the urban grant opportunities for municipalities. Management-wise, we've had two what we call EAB techs working this year to get permission to establish, the goal was 1,500 trap trees, basically with permission of private landowners at 30 different satellite areas around the infestation. I don't have the map with me, but everybody's, I think, familiar with the maps that we've shared before. So on the outskirts, 30 prioritized sites were chosen, and 50 trees, a goal of 50 trees within those 30 sites were targeted for girdling. Research has shown that intentionally harming a tree is attractive to the insects. So the management part is to try to get the adults to focus their egg laying on these trap trees, we call them. And then after the eggs are laid and before the cycle can be completed to adult again, basically those trees are cut down to try to interrupt that life cycle. That's the management aspect. On the larger landscape, it's very challenging to work on an effort to slow the spread of an insect when we see that the insect is popping up all over the place. So people are questioning, and rightfully so, what are you folks doing? How effective is the program to slow the spread? My take on it is, if Mark can chime in with the scientific entomological exponential expansion of an insect population, but what we're trying to do is something to buy time for communities to prepare, and maybe for researchers to come up with some kind of solution. We know we can't eradicate this insect, we can only slow the spread, but there is positive things that are being looked at from a research point of view. Release of non-native parasitoids to try to reduce the population. Biocontrol in this area is actively being employed. So from the management aspect, from DEC, we've got I believe 1,400 trees established. Those will be cut down in fall, before next flight season, to interrupt that life cycle again. And also, there's an effort we just recently learned of. The Purple Prism Trap program, funded by the federal government, funding for that program has been in decline for many years. This year, I don't know how we got 500 Purple Prism traps. It could be the old traps that we scrape the bugs off of, I'm not sure. But since a lot of the infestations found around the state are around urban areas, a decision was made to deploy those 500 traps around urban areas throughout the state. In our region, the city of Peekskill was targeted. I believe, George, you've got the paperwork, hopefully, 50 traps? Is it?
Something like that.
Something like that, yeah. Syracuse, 126, and on and on. So the Purple Prism Trap is used for early detection in areas that we don't know where the bug is, basically. So that's all I can really think of in terms of the management. And certainly we're open to any questions or comments. Thank you.
Okay, from the DEP, I have an update from Meredith Taylor. It says basically we're working with New York State DOT to join their contract for Route 28 and potentially 28A for hazard tree removal. We are planning to inventory hazard trees for basis of estimate this summer. EAB mitigation harvest of ash around the Ashokan Reservoir is continuing and will be moving westward over the next year. I live in that area. I have seen this happening, so it's a good thing to continue doing. From CRISP, we have Molly's update. Since the last meeting, we've conducted, this is Molly's update I'm reading for the camera. Since the last meeting, we've conducted 2 ash management work for homeowners workshops, one in Woodstock that we mentioned earlier and one in Stone Ridge. Both workshops attracted a very engaged and concerned crowd, but it wasn't the kind of turnout we wanted to see. So they're evaluating whether or not that they're going to continue doing this. They're not sure if it was because of not enough interest. They mailed their ash management flyer out to 8,000 homeowners in the area, in the core infestation area, a couple of weeks ago. The flyer was mailed to folks with 1.5 acres in areas with numerous confirmed EAB. And they're beginning to field phone calls and photographs from the public as a result of that. We have had a few calls into the Master Gardeners also as a result of those flyers. So it's interesting because the outreach is working. They assisted with the tree tagging that Jim told us about, and they've been tabling at 3 different festivals. And so she's in the process of going forward with CRISP. And like I said, CCE, the Master Gardeners, are going to be working with them on invasive species. I have an update from Marilyn Wyman, who is our person in Greene County, and it says they're currently working on establishing an EAB task force in Columbia County. She gave a presentation to their Board of Supervisors, who directed them to meet with their Environmental Management Committee. This will occur in June, and they are they were on the local Columbia County Community Radio doing an interview, and they're also circulating info with sign-up sheets to recruit volunteers at their open house. They did an invasive species primer that focused on EAB in May 11th. I think some folks here went to that, and it was pretty good when I heard. Wasn't able to go, but they had it up at their Acro facility. Are there any other updates from other folks that are here?
I guess so.
Anybody? Okay, so we'll move along. The new quarantine is now in effect, and we talked about Unadilla. Mark or Sally, did you want to say anything about the quarantine? Nope. Mark, Sally? I think.
Sorry about that. I don't know. I mean, quarantine is way too big in my mind.
Yep.
To be very effective, but it is what it is.
Okay.
I think the focus should be in every location to educate people about the dangers of moving firewood, and not just 50 miles, moving firewood any distance, especially in an infested area, could be a problem. But that's about all I have on that.
So Ethan Eco might be doing a webinar for task forces, is that so?
Oh, yeah, that's right. We're talking to Ethan about doing a webinar on quarantine issues. There's a lot of industry people that are very interested in what's going on. So he is definitely the best guy to talk about that. I don't even want to get involved.
Okay.
So we will definitely let everyone know when we do get that webinar organized. And
Thank you.
we're trying to get it done soon.
Great, great. Potential funding sources, urban and community forestry grants. Does anyone have any information on that?
Yeah, the grants normally come out either in April or in May. They're cost share grants for inventories or for actually ash borer inventory, but it's better to do an inventory of the entire urban forest. And there are also there's also grants for tree planting and tree maintenance. The tree planting and tree maintenance grants usually are 50% match from local funds. They have to be from local funds. It can't be from federal or other funds. The inventory work is 100% match. So if you get that, you basically get free money. So at this point, it looks like the applications will be coming out probably at the end of June, or maybe even a little bit later because it's a little bit delayed this year. There's going to be about $800,000 in the program for this year. Last year, there were 12 municipalities that applied. The year before, there was 26. Last year, of the 12, 10 got what they wanted, so it was pretty good. So it's a pretty good return on the paperwork. And there are other programs available for larger cities and for places that have higher populations of like low-income people, and from the Forest Service and other places. And those applications are much more stringent and difficult. If you're on any urban forestry lists or from the DEC, you get a little yellow tag that says that it's come out, and then the information's on the DEC website. If not, and you're interested, then give me a call. You can send an email to me or contact me at 256-3082, and we'll make sure you put on the list. Some of the other things, the Hudson Valley Prism. I'm not quite sure where Hudson Valley Prism ends and CRISP starts. Hudson Valley Prism is the Hudson Valley version of the invasive species management group, and they're going to be meeting on July 17th. If you go on the internet and put in Hudson Valley Prism, you'll get information, and that group is just starting up officially at this point. They've been around unofficially for years, though. The one other place where we have outreach, we've had it for several years, is at county fairs. We've had outreach at Ulster County Fair for every year, pretty much for a long time. And so we've had Don't Move Firewood programs there and things like that. Dutchess County Fair, we no longer have an outreach there, but maybe perhaps this year we might work with Cooperative Extension, which I just have to discuss to see if we could get a small foothold in there. The DEC stopped going there because had to rent a space for a lot of money. And okay, one of the main things that the Urban and Community Forestry Program can do, and is help with if a town or city has an inventory already or wants to come up with one, as it relates to ash trees, then we'll help in terms of helping set up a system to identify the ash trees and help the municipality prioritize what to keep, what to treat, what to remove, and that's probably the key thing that any municipality can do at this point. That's about the only thing is decide what it is that you want to do with the trees that you have ahead of time. And a lot of municipalities, ash is not a major component. It's usually less than like 7% or so in that. But it's a good thing to plan at this point and to identify what's coming down the line. Because if there's an ash tree now that's in very bad shape and there's a maple tree that's in very bad shape, well, then that helps set priorities for funding, that the ash tree comes down, not the maple tree. So anyway, so we are available for that kind of assistance.
Thank you. hashtags and purple ribbon availability. Sally, I know you sent an email around telling folks to where to get the tags. Are still a good quantity?
Yeah, so it was the DEC that was ordering the bunch of tags, Aaron Brady with the EAB outreach.
Okay.
So, I don't know, for that kind of tagging, it might be good to, we'll see if we can still put in an order with her, so that the task force could just have some on hand, or CCE could have some on hand.
That would be great.
For activities.
Didn't Chris have something?
I don't know if Chris got any. I know we got some from, for you, from.
Yeah, and I thought,
from CC.
I thought Chris got a supply of them as well.
Yeah, we'll have,
That
we'd
was
have
my
to check with.
understanding.
We had a box.
Yeah, I remember that too, Molly.
Yeah, Molly. All right.
We can get some, it just occurred to me that I think it's Emerald Ash Awareness Week. Is it
Yes,
this
it
week?
is.
This week? Or
Uh,
next week?
It was.
This week.
It was, we weren't that aware.
It was this week.
This
Started
week.
started on Sunday.
There we go.
There you go. We knew so much about it.
I've still got some tags, and I'm going to be trying to get permission from landowners, things like that, where I see ash trees to put them around just for public notification.
Yeah, because people
So if
see
you-
them and they wonder
if
what
you
it is.
see them appearing throughout Woodstock, blame me.
You seeded them. Jim has done a great job. He's done that before, and I think we can easily get some signs. We just got to make some calls. We had a pile of them, maybe 50 of them or so.
What color are they?
They're yellow and they have.
Little yellow things, I didn't bring one with me today.
What I've noticed around the areas that are heavily infested is people are actually putting their own ribbons around trees for whatever reason. I'm not sure, to show people or to show somebody that might stop by. But you drive up and down 32 from Saugerties to Kingston, and people have little bands around their ash that are all woodpeckered up and stuff. So, and I've noticed a lot of people. I think it's a credit to not only CCE, but DEC and everybody else that's out there, talking to people about ash, because we've been talking about it for 3 or 4 years now, and people are starting to see the impacts. I mean, we say in New York State, oh yes, ash is only 7% of the population of the New York trees, but it could be 1 billion ash trees. That's a lot of ash trees. So the key is the educational component, recognizing ash. I always tell people when they say, what can we do, what can we do, what can we do? The first thing is to go home, look around your house, look around your infrastructure, and see if you have any ash that are there, if you can correctly identify them, and then think about what would happen when that tree would die. We got to keep this very, very simple. If the tree is on top of Slide Mountain or along the Hudson River, where most people do not go, it's going to come down to a human safety issue. So with limited resources that everybody is dealing with these days, prioritization needs to be made on which trees to cut down and which trees to save. So keep it very simple.
Sally,
Uh-huh.
you told us about the EAB task force call? Did you?
Yeah, I mentioned a few things about it.
Okay, well, thank you.
Any other questions? I think we'll be having more in the future.
All right.
So, I sent the information to Aaron. Anyone on the task force is welcome to participate, whoever's available. So for the next one, I'll make sure that, more people hear about it.
Thank you. At our last meeting, we had a short discussion on potential subcommittees to this task force, and we said we'd bring it up again. There's not a lot of folks here today, but we were looking to maybe set up 2 committees that would meet perhaps sooner, because this committee was originally set up to meet once every 2 months. So we thought that a subcommittee would be a way to, a couple of subcommittees would be a way to really stay on top of what was happening. Go ahead.
It's every 3 months, our original.
Oh, it's every 3 months?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. So the 2 committees that we've come up with ideas, and maybe there are others that you have, discussion of, we talked about doing an education outreach committee and perhaps using the Master Gardener program to do outreach. And Molly also from CRISP said that she would be interested in participating on this education and outreach committee, just to keep track of what's happening all over Ulster County and to actually work with groups that are planning outreach to make sure that the information that they get and the resources that they use are ones that will be helpful for them. So I think this is a valuable sort of way of doing it, rather than taking up the time of having the whole task force look at that. They would, again, report back to this committee, but it would be good to have, this other separate committee just sort of focusing on that. Are there thoughts on that?
If you don't mind, I think that's a great idea. The Master Gardeners, I think, are well positioned, the program,
Yeah.
to take on this task, because Donna, you've been a great proponent of bringing up the fact that the private landowner, we have to think of the private landowner too. We talk about municipalities that are going to be impacted and the costs and all that stuff. The major costs are going to be borne by private landowners.
They are.
And there's really no program out there to cost share removal of a $1,000 tree, So how it's been framed is, who's going to be there for that smaller landowner? Because you guys get a lot of calls, we get a lot of calls, and it's easy for us to sit here as foresters and say this is a simple biological dilemma. It's very simple, ash trees will die, but the impacts are going to be huge to humans. So who's going to be there for the people that are calling, whether it be to find somebody that can help them, arborist or whatever. So, and those calls are going to become more and more frequent. So I think it's a great idea. I would encourage folks to take it on. The subcommittee is a really good idea, because there's so much other stuff that needs to be dealt with, and I like the idea of coming back and reporting and stuff like that.
All right.
How did you folks hear about this meeting? Speaking about outreach.
Well, I was the one who, being an ex-member of the Environmental Conservation Commission of Marbletown, I still get the emails from the head of that, and it was something coming that she just passed on to her lists, and I saw that it was happening.
So otherwise you wouldn't have heard about EAB, or have you heard about EAB before?
Oh, I know about it.
You know about it, okay.
I mean, I said, I've even made a presentation on a number of them as a strictly an amateur, but nonetheless one that studies. Anyway, the thing is that in terms of outreach, the thing that I have found out in at least our township is any of these events, the people that come to it are the choir, basically.
You're right.
And what I did after the Environmental Conservation Commission, I went to the other side, and I joined what's called the Marbletown Landowners Association, and brought them some things, learned things from them, and offered them some things. And I think that that's where it has to move out, because a number of these people in the MLA have sizable land, and they've been living in this area for a long time. So I think that one has to make the outreach further than just the lists that you have. I mean, I see
You're
that.
so right. Yeah,
Yeah.
you are right. And that's why I felt that the Master Gardeners would be a good part of that, because we do interact with the public, on an almost daily basis with our hotline and with the calls that come in. And it would be a good way for folks just to relate to them, not the choir, just folks that are going on beyond that. They're just wondering about that tree. It's a little old lady who's got this ash tree that's looming above her house. How is she going to deal with that? And I know, yes, Jeff nodding here, because that's what kind of calls, well, who's going to come and take it down, and how am I going to afford to do that? And so to be able to offer them some other resources, like we heard from Mark about treating the trees. We do get a lot of calls from folks who want to save the trees. They don't want to see their ash go. And so I think that the Master Gardeners would be really, they're going to be they're part of the front lines with the outreach and getting out there. There are 80 master gardeners across Ulster County. In almost every township, we have a few, which is really pretty good. And they've been pretty active. If you give them the information, which is why we're doing the early detector training, to go to their municipalities, to go to the town meetings, and to get up and say something short and sweet, but to just outreach to people and get involved. And that's been, that's our plan here with that program. So.
To add to that, Stuart, just so you know, another aspect of DEC's assistance is assistance to private landowners. We have a forester that can come out to an owner of more than 5 acres of forest land. And what we do is write a forest stewardship plan we can address, which addresses timber, wildlife, water resources, endangered species, all that kind of stuff. And then we can get more in depth with the aspects of possibly managing for emerald ash borer with landowners that have a lot of ash on their property. So that's another service that we can provide also. So.
Yeah, I forget his name now, but I was aware of that. Somebody living in Rochester, one of the...
Mike.
Yeah.
So maybe I could just chime in here. So the Monroe County Task Force has an education and outreach committee also, and I think one of the things that's led them success is really drawing on some networking. So between the members of the committee and then whatever networks the members have, they just almost become kind of like a speakers bureau or something where they have comfort giving presentations about emerald ash borer and are just kind of being invited now to more and more events, not just events that they're putting on, but like for example, through the CMC, one of them was in touch with a member of the Shade Tree Commission in a town, and that member happened to have two elementary school age daughters, and so arranged for a presentation on emerald ash borer at the elementary school. And so in that way kind of, got to a different audience, and in addition to the presentation, they sent information home with the children to reach their parents. So kind of that networking might be one thing the committee would want to consider.
Yeah, when we did the early detector training with the master gardeners, that was also an idea that they came up with, to then offer presentations and to sort of formally go out and offer themselves up. And because I think networking is something that happens sort of informally, like you just described, but to formally offer ourselves up as not the experts, but as the information folks is the best way. Like you say, talking to people one-on-one, or 1-on-50, whatever. But that's the best way to do it. So I think that we will. We're going to go forward with this outreach and education community and committee and work with Molly on that. And if anybody else would like to be a part of that.
We're finding in Woodstock that the woodpeckers are helping outreach.
They're also
Because
on the committee?
Once people see the trees starting to blonde as dramatically as they have up there,
And
say,
they have.
what's wrong with the ash trees? So you get the question now from people. I was somewhat successful at the early stages and hopefully be able to do it again this year, setting up an environmental commission booth with information about a lot of invasives at the farmers market, which is held Wednesdays in Woodstock. Just set up a booth, have information not only on emerald ash borer, but on invasive plants, on the Asian longhorn beetle, on the maramated stink bug, on all these things. And you do get some people that stop by.
You get a lot of people. We do farmers, master gardeners do farmers markets in once a month. We will be at Woodstock next week for their opening day with all of that information. And it's really amazing the minute you just fluff out the Cornell Cooperative Extension tablecloth. You have folks standing in front of you asking all sorts of questions. And we also heavily push invasive information at the Ulster County Fair, where we're there for a week. So there's a lot of things that are happening along those lines. People just strolling by and they go, oh, and it catches their interest. And, maybe I'd like to connect with Molly about that track and see if we can get it down to the fairgrounds for a week. That would be great. So the other committee we were thinking about would be the management and mitigation for municipalities and the Ulster County Department of the Environment, which is Aaron and a few others, would like to spearhead that committee. I don't really recall what we were talking about as far as specifics for this committee, but it's not your homeowners group. It's working with folks, municipalities on setting up management plans and things like that. Does anyone else recall anything that we were talking about?
Yeah, past, if I could, my recollection is past discussions centered around assistance to communities. I think DEC's urban forestry program is perfect to help Aaron in that effort. As George described, we can come out and try to help prioritize efforts and whatever. So I think we would definitely be DEC, like to work with Aaron on that.
All right, great. Were there any other committees that we would see needs for as far as what would be workable?
Well, we just, if I don't want to follow up corollary, who's out there to help? There has been past discussions about referrals. Who do we refer the 90-year-old that has the ash tree hanging over their house? Now, Eric, maybe this is where you can help out. What DEC does is basically refer people that have tree care issues to the New York State Arborist website. And there has been discussions, the industry has been great down here, wanting to participate and wanting to be helpful. So I don't know if we need a subcommittee.
Probably not.
But-
Master gardeners do this already when we
Right.
refer folks. Those are the only folks that we're allowed, because as Cornell, we're not really allowed to say, oh yeah, go see my Aunt Sally, she's the landscaper. We can't do that. We have to go to the New York Certified Arborist list.
Okay, you folks use
And
the same list.
We do.
Okay,
We do.
great.
And we just updated it as a handout that
Yep.
we can actually make copies of and give to folks. And it covers this whole Catskill Hudson Valley
Yeah.
area.
Good.
Just because, you want to help them out.
Right.
You want to help them out, so.
Right, exactly. So it's centered, made this more of an outreach thing. Other people's websites, there's a lot of great stuff out there. But is, like for CRISP or CCE, is there like a link to the New York State Arborist website that you folks give, or?
We do
Okay.
give the link out, but it's not on our website. Maybe that's a good thing to be able to connect to. I'm not sure what the logistics politically would be.
Right.
So I think
Right.
it's probably just better for us to hand that sheet of paper out and say, here's your local folks.
There's the arborists and there's certified applicators. There's only a
Yeah.
certain amount
Correct.
of folks who can actually apply the chemicals.
Right.
And that's an even smaller list than just the
It is,
arborists.
Yeah,
Is it pretty much just Vern, or who else does the applications?
Vern is the one we recommend.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. But who's down in the south, in Mobbletown, and no one?
Well, if you go to, maybe George can help me out here. If you go to our website, I believe we have a list of certified applicators, but that list is like 2,000 names long.
Alphabetically by,
I think by category.
Yep.
DEC regulates pesticide application in New York State.
It's a little
So
intimidating, I think.
it is intimidating. It really is. That's why I'm looking for easy access to
Right.
people that are on the ground, like this gentleman that just walked in.
We'll get them to
Sorry,
introduce
lady.
themselves.
How are you?
Easy access. People
Okay.
can search on the internet and then spend an hour and get frustrated. So
Well, I know that since the
can we
last,
partner with industry to get a list of people that can come out and look at your tree, possibly take it down, possibly treat it? Is the question on the table.
okay, let's introduce yourself. We have Mark Whitmore and Sally Whistler from Cornell.
Hi, I'm Michael Barker from Red Cedar down in Wappingers Falls.
All right.
Great to see everyone. Sorry, I'm so.
You're just at the end of the meeting. Is there anything
Hey,
you'd
that
like
was
to add?
Perfect timing. Mike, if I could just, I don't want, We're almost at the end of the whole agenda. Thanks for showing up. Now the important aspect is how do we get help to people on the ground? We talked about larger private landowners. Now we're to the point of getting into subcommittees. There's an outreach and education subcommittee that Donna suggested we move forward with. And then a management and mitigation subcommittee for municipalities that Aaron Bennett from Ulster County Department of Environment wants to head up, and DEC is willing to help too. We were just discussing how to get information to owners, private landowners. Talked about ISA, certified arborists, and how can industry basically.
We have a link through our website. We're actually reaching out to all of our clients. Over in Dutchess County, it's quite not as bad as over here, so it's a little early over there. They just started the task force, cooperative extension also. That's why I'm here trying to help and learn. It's a very scary thing right now.
So industry is willing to be on the subcommittee.
Absolutely.
There
I'd
we
be on the
go.
subcommittee, absolutely. I try to be on time, too.
That is bad.
Yeah.
No, I'm just giving you a hard time.
But you had something happen, you emailed me, and I knew you were coming late, so that's fine. That's fine. All right, so here we are at the end to schedule the next meeting.
In terms of giving out information to arborists and stuff to people, I don't have to listen to political people. So I tell them the names of arborists who participate in the Ulster County Task Force.
Good.
So Vern and
Vern is one of the names we give out. Because
both in the area, I say,
Yeah.
Limber Tree Service can help you, Vern can help you with this, because I want people to know who the most knowledgeable people are.
Very true.
If they're asking a specific question, I want to be able to give them a specific answer.
Yeah, you're right, that's the case.
These gentlemen on your list, you said you had a list that you.
Yes,
They are.
oh yeah,
Could I get a copy of that list?
Sure.
Maybe someone else would want it too here.
Me too.
Sure.
Maybe like,
sure,
yeah.
yeah,
List of
Will do.
certified arborists.
yep,
The list that the Corps of Extension has, we can start
yes,
with that.
our list, which does include DeVerne. Okay, folks. So I think I would like to do another doodle poll for the meeting, keeping in mind that we'd like to schedule the meeting earlier in the week, like a Tuesday or a Wednesday, if that's good with folks. Since we're doing this every 3 months?
We should do it sooner.
We should do it sooner, just because of what's happening.
Do you think? Or is it
What do
not
folks
gonna work?
think? July, we were thinking on July.
What's going to change between then and now? Is a month going to make a difference?
Probably not. It'd probably be best for the 3 months.
3 months is sufficient.
So August?
Yep.
August. All right, so I'll
Yeah, and
do a poll.
if the subcommittees are trying to meet
Subcommittees
in
are going to
between,
try and meet in between, yes.
then I think that would be fine.
Okay,
I was trying to work out, because the ash trees are leafing out now.
right.
It's kind of nice to show people, oh, this canopy is thinning. If we do it too late in the season, we might not have a visual to show folks, maybe earlier. I'm just trying to brainstorm.
Sure.
Does it make a difference to be out there earlier in the season?
When do you suggest?
That's what I'm trying to gather. I don't know. If we do July, that gives us August and September and then October before leaves come on.
That's true, yes.
So,
And do
But
July
you can
then.
still treat,
Let me ask the
you know,
and we can still treat.
you can still
right,
treat,
right.
once
Right. Once the
late
leaves start
fall
coming
or
off. probably.
once it starts getting cold, you're not gonna treat it.
Yeah.
One of the main issues is this quarantine. Now, the question is, they had mentioned that there was going to maybe be a web thing with commercial people. What would that include? Would that talk about restricting movement voluntarily or treating logs voluntarily or what? Because, I mean, it's great to say that, I know a lot of stuff is moved by firewood, but you can move move logs from here all the way to Buffalo and Pennsylvania. I mean, question is, you know, that seems to be the biggest impact on spread, you know, that we have. We seem to be going in two different directions at once. So I'm just wondering whether, you know, what exactly are we doing to contain spread? I mean, we've been talking about the movement of firewood for years, and we can step that up by saying move firewood less than 50 miles or not at all.
Right.
But the point is, we still have this quarantine thing, which, you know, people are kind of confused, frankly, if they knew about it.
Well, transportation of logs during the fly season is particularly hazardous when you got this larger quarantine zone.
Yeah.
I mean, I can visualize a truckload of logs going down the thruway with bugs flying at them.
Sure.
Okay, but let's get back to what we were talking about, which was trying to set, what's that? So we wanted to, so were we looking at late July
Late
for
July.
a meeting?
Sure.
All right, so I'll contact folks and see what it's like. Is this time of day fine for folks? This 11 to 1
Yeah, but
sort of thing?
A
It
little
works.
awkward bridging lunch, but that's just me.
Oh, well, you know, maybe next time we'll bring some
Well,
lunch.
or we'll
We could bring lunch.
meet at a restaurant somewhere, over chicks maybe.
Yeah, maybe. All right. So, could we table your issue, George, your questions for the next meeting?
Oh, sure,
In
we
July?
can't solve it.
Okay, we
with,
can't solve it
this.
anyway. But we will put it on the
Well, we
agenda.
can brainstorm.
Always positive, yeah.
But maybe you would be interested in being a part of the outreach committee and education, to see if we can work on that a little bit more. What do you think? Okay.
Sure.
Think about it? Okay, good. All right. All right, then I'm going to adjourn the meeting, and we'll all anxiously await to hear the good news from Aaron. There could be a baby by the end of the day. So thank you, everybody, for coming. Mike, I'm sorry you're late, but
Hey,
we'll
no
make
problem.
sure we get there's a sign-up sheet going around. If we have your email,
Signed in and
we'll put you on the list
It's
and
official.
keep you updated.
Official.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Sally.
Thanks, Jeff.
Have a great weekend. All right, bye-bye.
Thanks,
Can I
Donna.
ask a,
Thank you.
can I ask a question about, you know, the homeowners kind of thing? I mean, in different parts of the country, there are certain programs, and I don't really know what exists, but some existing here and there, that have like support for homeowners to remove trees, you know, that when they, you know.
I don't know of any.
Financial,
You know of any?
financial support or?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
because we
wow.
do have folks that call about stuff like that.
I think it's expensive quickly.
Have you ever heard of anything around? I mean, I know it's been in the Midwest in some places.
Not in New York State.
So we need to write a
What
grant.
Yeah?
what about like insurance
Yes.
agents?
Not from, not, we,
Oh, good, that's what they look
That would
like?
be a good way
We
to
just
get.
zero in on that.
we mentioned that last
All right,
Can I have these?
That's what the tags look like that are on the trees. Excellent years,
You guys print them
I didn't
out?
realize I had
Becoming
Very
a.
good. Okay.
See you.
No, well, I'll put them in the lab and folks will just pick them up.
Great.
Because we do get folks in
Yeah.
here.
I just sent that
I'll
out.
talk to my insurance